I've done it too. You find this song that you want to cover, but the key that it's in does not match your voice, and you got to figure out how to fix that. You got to figure out how to get it into your key. And also, what even is your key? In today's episode of Behind the Board, that's exactly what we're going over. Let's jump right in. Alright, y'all, welcome to another episode of Behind the Board. In today's episode, we're talking about what is your key? Your key is basically you take a song that you want to cover and move the notes that are in that song, the highest and or lowest, in that singer's range, and move it to your range. You only really need one parameter for this, either the lowest note or the highest note, but it's usually helpful to have both. So today we are looking at Break Even by The Script. Why we're looking at this song? Because I had to drop this one a lot. Because the guy who's singing this is a tenor, and I am definitely not. Alright, so the key starts off like this. The lowest note is at the beginning of the song, so I'm going to go ahead and play that for you. Right here. Been praying to a God that I don't believe in. The lowest note was right around F3. I would do the highest note, but if you're okay, here's the key. See what I did there? If you're transposing a song down, you want to look for the lowest note in the song and match that to the lowest note in your voice, or relatively close to the lowest note in your voice. If you're transposing a song up, you want to do the opposite, meaning take it higher. You're going to take the highest note in their song and the highest note in your range, and then move it up from there. But what if you don't know what notes you just hit? I've got a little handy dandy trick. It involves an app on your phone. Let me show you guys what that looks like. If you have trouble figuring out your pitch, or if you just don't have a piano nearby and you have nothing to reference, just get a pitch app on your phone, like this. So what this is going to do is it'll tell you the note you're hitting. So essentially, we're trying to figure out the top of our range and the bottom of our range. Then we can try and match that to the top and the bottom of the range of whoever is singing the song that we're trying to cover. In this case, we're looking at Break Even. So to start us off, I'm going to go to the lowest that I can go until it's comfortable. I'm just going to hold this up just so you guys can hopefully see what I'm talking about. So, I'd say probably that G flat, probably comfortable. And then on that high end, if you want to write that down, you can. Just pause the video and check out your low end, write it down if you want. And for the top end, do the exact same thing. I would recommend making sure no one else is nearby, or else they might think something's wrong with you. Alright, so it's going to sound like. So it's probably, I'm a little congested, so my range is probably around it's around a D. So, now that you've written down the top and the bottom, we can figure out what keys fit in our new song. Be back in a second. Alright, so now we successfully figured out what our range is. In my case, as of today, because I've been coughing a lot, allergies, it's fall. It's currently a G sharp, not G sharp, a G flat 2 to a D 4. And that is nowhere near. So the lowest note in the Scripts version was an F3. The lowest note in my range is an F sharp 2. So what this means is if you're at a piano, that's almost an octave difference. So, meaning we can take this down. So an octave is 12 steps. So in this case, if you're at a piano right now, going from your F to the F below, move it up to the F sharp. That is 11 notes. So here's how we're going to do this. Before you actually record something, do a MIDI track so you can easily do this. You can transpose it. So let's go into our tool window here. It's going to be different for different DAWs, but every single DAW can transpose. Alright, so we're going to take it down 11. Oh, excuse me. Since it's so close, we don't want to take it down 11. We can just take the instrumentation up 1. It's going to sound like this. So now it's going to sound like this. To a God that I don't believe in. Now that sounded a little low. That sounded just a tad low. So let's go back into our tool window. Move it up. Half step higher. You want to go about this chromatically. No big jumps. So now we move up to here. Let's try this. Finally met a man that's gonna put her first. I'm wide awake, she's no trouble sleeping. And when my heart breaks, no, it don't break even. That sounded good, that sounded solid. So the low, we can basically say that this key right here, the key of C, this is our lowest key that we can sing in. So now if we go to the chorus, we can take a look at the high end. The high end for the Scripps version, was a B flat. The highest note currently, which once again, I will get out your pitch app on your phone for this. You should hear the highest note on what? What am I supposed to do when the best part of me was always you? Alright, so the highest note in that song is C. So, but we said the highest note in my range is a D. So meaning we have C, C sharp, and D that we can work with. So meaning we have several different options, and we can find the key that sounds best. So once again, highlight your entire track. Go back down to the tool window. Let's move it up a half step again. Now we should be in the key of C sharp. And then it's basically about preference of which do you think sounds better. Still alive, but I'm barely breathing. Praying to a God that I don't believe in. I'm wearing a headset, so I can't hear myself very well. Let's skip to the chorus. What am I supposed to do when the best part of me was always you? That still sounds good. That sounds better than the one before it does. Now we still have one key that we can work with. The key of D. So let's go ahead and try it. Let's go back to our window here. Back to tools. Move it up another half step. There we go. This was the key that I actually did the song in. I actually did this exact process, figured out what their range was, figured out what my range was. I actually started this off in C, moved up to C sharp, and then moved it up to D, and that's what we stuck with. Still alive, but I'm barely breathing. Go to the chorus. What am I supposed to do when the best part of me was always you? And what am I supposed to say when I'm all choked up and you're okay? That sounds pretty good. Now, if that high, if it still feels comfortable, you have liberties to move it up. So meaning that D felt comfortable for me. So I can move it up another half step if I want. This is why I would rather use MIDI for audio clips when it comes to testing out what key you want to do your song in, because the notes will automatically go up Let me show you guys this. Like you can literally go in here, take this, and move it wherever you need to. Still alive, but I'm barely breathing. I'm praying to a God that I don't believe in. So then you just go to the high note. And then it's basically a preference of what do I think sounds best. And also you have to go across like harmonies and stuff too. I'll be going into that in a second, but what am I supposed to do when the best part of me was always you? That sounded pretty good. That, I feel like if I went higher, start to strain. You don't want that. So, the key range that I can go from in this song is from C to E flat. So that means I have 1, 2, 3, 4 keys that I can play around with. Also, it's all about depending on the arrangement. Like if you decide to lower one part, if you decide to add harmonies to make it higher, that's also going to affect how you go about finding your key. But in short, in order to find your key, you figure out if you're taking the notes lower, if you're taking the key lower, you find the lowest note in their range and the lowest note in yours, and go down to that lowest note and start working your way up. If you're trying to move it higher, do the exact opposite. Find the highest note in your range, highest comfortable note in your range. Find the highest note that they sing, and then move it up to that comfortable highest note, and then work your way down. And that's basically all there is to it, to finding your key.